All right. I'll give people a few minutes to jump on since I started late.
Perfect. I know, because of me.
No, it's okay. I mean, this is my first one, honestly. Usually I use Zoom, but
Oh, okay. Yeah, I use Zoom too a lot.
I do.
Yeah, girl.
Okay. I mean, this is my first one, honestly. Okay. Yeah. All right. People are starting to jump on. So
Great.
I had it. Okay. All right. We'll go ahead and get started. Okay, so I'm super, super excited to have Dr. Jess on with us tonight. And Dr. Jess is a good friend, and she is now, I would say, my physician. She started out as a hospitalist at a hospital in Louisville, and I'll let her introduce herself. But
Thanks.
Yeah, she now does all natural and holistic and help me get myself on chemo and all naturally. So I just want her to introduce herself and talk to us about the importance of being your own best doctor and removing toxins from your home and your body and things like that. So I'm going to let her share all kinds of goodies with us. So I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to you, Jess, and I'm going to go over here and take notes. Okay.
Sure. Well, thanks for that introduction, Jen. Hi, everyone. So I lived 13 years in Louisville. I went to medical school, got my residency in internal medicine, and graduated in 2009, and then worked at Norton's here in Louisville for almost 7 years as a hospitalist. Seems like an eternity. And really got kind of disgruntled with the whole system. I saw the same patients being readmitted 100 times. I saw all the side effects that the medication like chemo can do to the body. And I was seeing that a lot of the patients weren't dying from diseases. They were dying from medical errors or side effects of the medications we were giving them. And not only that, but a lot of the chronic diseases they had weren't really, they were totally preventable. And the patients didn't have the education like food is medicine to even realize why they had a chronic condition. And it was really just something that I was not aligned with anymore as far as the hospital goes. And besides, in my opinion, as a healer, you should make patients feel welcome. Like it should kind of feel like a spa if they're going to go in and have to have chemo. It shouldn't be these 4 drab, gray, sterile walls with nurses that work 12-hour shifts and don't have time to pee on their shift. And the doctors and the nurses are all overweight and full of inflammation, but nutritionally deprived. So how do you expect those people to heal anyone? They can't heal themselves. So I really got frustrated with the system. And then I went through, personally, a pretty bad divorce. I know Jen, since we're friends, knows about it, but I really hit rock bottom. And basically what happened with that is there's a famous philosopher named Rumi who says, once you hit rock bottom, that's when you're cracked open, and that's where the light can enter. And that's sort of what happened to me. When you're kind of in that dark place, you are forced to reevaluate like who you are and what you want. And I did that. And so I moved across the country to the West Coast, and I got all kinds of training in holistic stuff like ozone, applied kinesiology, which is muscle testing, Gerson therapy, obviously. And I worked at a pretty famous clinic in Newport Beach called Whitaker Wellness. Dr. Julian Whitaker is pretty famous, and he started curing diabetes and heart disease in the 80s with holistic herbs and treatments. And so I learned a whole lot there. And then I started my own business where I make organic holistic supplements. I blog, I have a YouTube channel. I love to help people who want to be their own best doctor, like Jen. She's like the ideal patient, like model patient. So basically people who are really, really ready to be accountable for their own health instead of looking for a pill or a doctor to fix them, because secret, doctors don't know everything. And so, and you do. When someone tells you something's wrong with your body and the doctor goes, you're crazy, the labs look normal. No, you're not crazy. Their labs aren't great and they're not ordering the right tests. So do never think that you don't know better because the doctor says so. Don't ever think that. And so this journey has really led me to sort of empower patients and people in general about you're not a victim of the system, and all it takes is some true education and returning to nature, and your body wants to heal itself. So sorry, that was a mouthful, but so yeah.
I had myself muted. Yeah, so you've experienced a lot in the hospital and kind of seen the part of pharmaceuticals that take over, like control the hospitals, and it doesn't become about the patient and about the person, the human. It becomes about the pharmaceuticals creating customers, not creating cures. If that makes sense.
Absolutely. You know, the system as a whole wouldn't have a job if everyone was healthy. It wouldn't. This is a business.
So,
go ahead.
No, I was saying that is very true. But
yeah.
So if you go in and talk about like the importance of, you know, removing chemicals from our body, from our products, from our food, eating, you know, the importance of eating like organic, and, you know, even going into not using synthetic products. I know a lot of people are talking about the keto diet, and there's some like synthetic ketones that they're taking. Just kind of, if you could just brush on all of it. I know it's kind of your fan to talk about all that, so I would just love to pick your brain about it.
Well, you know, just starting from just food as medicine, like, you know, people ask me, how do you know these herbs work? Why do you believe in your products? Why do you believe in natural healing? Well, you know, when you go to somewhere like India, they don't have dementia and Alzheimer's because they eat turmeric every day, which is a natural anti-inflammatory. This is only a Western disease. And so, you know, if you're religious at all, you can look back at some of the religious texts that say, you know, we were given every plant and animal and mineral on this earth to take care of us, and that's really all we need. What synthetic medicines and Western medicine has done is patent nature. Basically, every synthetic medicine comes from a plant or mineral source with added fillers and chemicals, of course, to stabilize it or make it last longer. And really, instead of getting to the root cause of why you have diabetes or high blood pressure, they'll say, here's a pill that will fix that. But they don't worry about what side effects it will cause, and they also don't worry about why do I have this in the first place? So that's a lot of times because we live in a very, I'm going to touch on stress here too. We live in a very like hardcore, competitive, very egotistical world where we really have to step on each other to get where we want. It's not in human nature. We're stressed out all the time. Our adrenals are burnt out. And then when that starts to happen, you start messing with the sex hormones like estrogen and progesterone and things like that, which lead to cancers, obviously. And then on top of that, the stress we're dealing with, the work hours, the days, just trying to manage life, if that isn't enough, then on top of that, you have, you know, all the synthetic medicines are made with the petroleum products, which absolutely are known to cause cancer. You have parabens and deodorants and BHT in foods as a food stabilizer. You have things like triclosan and dial soap, which the FDA has known since the 1970s that's a hormone disruptor and is just now removing it this year. I mean, I used dial soap my whole life. You know, so it's this kind of like frustrating when you see all these, you know, they'll say, oh yeah, it's generally recognized as safe in small amounts, but then it's in everything. And eventually that overwhelms your detoxification organs like the liver and the kidneys and the skin. And so things like eczema, psoriasis, and rashes like that are toxins trying to exit the skin because they're not able to come out the bowels properly. And, you know, things like we shave our armpits and then have micro nicks in the armpits, and then we put things like aluminum and parabens with deodorant right in our armpits, right where the lymph nodes are. And this is one of the reasons breast cancer is an epidemic today. You know, hypothyroid is an epidemic today because of missing nutrition and missing cofactors from our food. And then you have synthetics that really interrupt the function of these organs. Like you have, I know this is kind of information overload, but you have bromide in bread, you have fluoride in toothpaste and water. Both those are in the same row of the periodic table as iodine. And iodine is absolutely necessary for proper thyroid support. So if you're eating a lot of brominated bread and drinking a lot of fluorinated water, or it's in your toothpaste, these can compete with the receptor sites for iodine on the thyroid. Again, another cause of the thyroid epidemic. So there's all these things these corporations are doing to preserve shelf life and make things smell better, taste better, and they're really to our own demise, because we just trust that these corporations have been around since we were babies on television, right? They must know the best. They must be the best product, right? And so we really have to step out of the box that we've been raised in and start questioning everything. Who makes this? Annie's was just bought out by General Mills. Burt's Bees just bought out by Clorox. So these big corporations are seeing, I know, these big corporations are seeing what's happening, and they're trying to make profit off of our ignorance. And it's really up to us to kind of take the bull by the horns and say no more. We're going to vote with our dollar. And if you are going to be unethical and cause disease rather than help us, we're going to remove our dollar from you. That's how you make these corporations behave. So as far as detoxing goes, sorry to get back to your question, really, there was a study done in, I think it was a Swiss family who had eaten conventionally, and when they tested their urine, they had glyphosate or Roundup in it, which is a pesticide known to rupture gut bacteria. And if you guys don't know, 80% of your immunity is in your gut. And so it's super important that we don't rupture that gut bacteria that's there for a purpose to keep us healthy and happy. And what they did was they made this family, 2 kids and 2 parents, eat organic for 3 weeks. And they found that the glyphosate residue in their urine was nearly gone at the end of the 3 weeks. So you can absolutely make a big dent in your health right now by going organic and being really mindful that you're not eating pesticides and you're not supporting companies that are producing these things. Because I want a different world. I want them wiped off the planet. I think they should be tried for crimes against humanity, really. And so you can make a big dent by eating organic, switching things like your personal care products, especially deodorant, soaps. Make sure you have some all natural, some sort of olive oil or almond oil soap. Make sure a lot of local people make some great soaps that aren't toxic. Cleaning supplies are a big, huge one. Cleaning supplies, oh man, there's so many studies on people who are household cleaners who end up with things like leukemia that they suspect from all the household cleaners. So it's really important that we look for products that also are saying, we don't have these toxic chemicals. They should brag about it right on the bottle. Dryer sheets, super toxic, super toxic. I know you know this, Jen. Even makeup, it's not regulated. It's not regulated by the FDA, so they can literally put whatever they want in makeup. MAC is one of the worst, and I used to wear it all the time. So it's just kind of like to question these things that you've always done. You want to make sure that not just that, but if you do have a bunch of toxins in your body, you're suffering with an autoimmune disease, you have cancer, you're a new diagnosis is something you didn't expect or that you're fighting, you can heal yourself. You just have to know the proper avenues, and your regular allopathic doctor, sadly, most of them are not going to be able to give you the answers you're looking for. They're really just taught that medicines are the answer. And so I urge people, if they have trouble or they don't know where to start, it would be great to reach out to a naturopath or a holistic doc. Find somebody that you can trust that understands both perspectives at least. And my one rule about diet, I tell people, I'm a vegetarian, but I don't think people have to be vegan or vegetarian to be healthy. I think that you can eat a little bit of meat. You maybe want to eat a very small amount every day because it does slow down digestion. But, meat is super healthy in healing things like thyroid diseases where they need a lot of protein. And so, you want things like grass-fed, organic, free-range chickens. You don't want cows and chickens standing around in their own manure where they have infections that they then need antibiotics for. Because antibiotics hurt us and they rupture our gut bacteria. So do hormones that they inject into these animals. So be really mindful of where your meat is coming from before, and then that's fine. I also think that if you can't reach into your spice cabinet or your fridge and cook with it, then don't eat it. You know, I don't add xanthan gum to my food, right? Like, no one cooks with that. I don't add yellow number 7 to things, which is linked to ADHD. So just really be cautious of what you're putting in your body, because that's your temple. And actually, when your gut bacteria and your stomach is functioning properly, that's connected to here by the vagus nerve. So these bacteria will send signals up your vagus nerve that control mood and cravings and thinking and everything. So to be at your tip-top performance mentally even, you really need to eat food that your ancestors would recognize. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's something, you know, I talk to people a lot about, is a lot of things on the shelves these days, you know, your great-great-great-grandma wouldn't recognize them, you know, because it is all, it's, you know, it's full of GMOs. It is all, it's just made in factories. It's not a real food. It's not something you could go pick out of your garden, you know?
Yeah,
so
it's
I think
it's food like these days, right? Totally.
yes. And I do think, you know, not everything in your life, every disease or problem that you're going to have is going to be preventable, but I truly think my cancer was preventable. I think but I think, who knows what it was from, but I'm thinking probably some of my products I used, or eating crap junk food for so long, you know. I just don't think some of these diseases were around back then. And like you said, in other countries, they don't have dementia and things like that because, and then, you know, so many like, not chemicals, but so many products are banned in other countries. Like I was reading, there's like 112 or 117 banned products, and then we have like 12 in the US, or I'm sure you know the exact, but it's sad. It's sad that the US doesn't have our back, I would guess.
No.
Kind of say.
Really, the political system runs the show. You know, you have Michael Taylor, who is the vice president of the FDA, who also worked for Monsanto. So there's a blatant conflict of interest in the people that are making our food and then making our medicine. And so, you know, they have a vested interest to sell you sick food so then they can get you on the back end with their medical system. And I hate to say, make it sound so dark and evil like that, but quite frankly, when you start looking at the people who've worked on both sides of the fence and where their positions lie, it's quite hard not to see it in that fashion. So that's why we march against Monsanto. Hopefully we'll organize one in Louisville next year, because it's really important to get the education out for people. That's why I love what you're doing, Jen, because knowledge is power, and the more people that spread this, it can spread like wildfire, and that's what needs to happen for this movement to occur. And not just, you know, makeup's a big one. Even I tell women, this is such a big deal for women. Make sure you're buying organic tampons, because cotton is one of the GMO crops. You have corn, soy, papaya, potatoes were just passed. Apples were passed about a year ago. And they tried tomatoes, but they tasted funny, so they had to take them off the market. Yeah, it's pretty disgusting. And cotton. So cotton is one of the most sprayed things with pesticides, because what GMOs do, if you guys don't know, a genetically modified organism is they take DNA from one source and put it into another source where it doesn't belong, with a gene gun in a lab. So often it's not even super specific, but they'll take things like bacterial and viral DNA and put it into the genome of your food to breed for bigger bananas or non-browning apples. It's disgusting. And basically what they do is they breed for resistance to pesticides. So they can spray the heck out of these crops and not worry about killing the crops or the seeds, but killing the bugs. But then we have to worry about what it does to us. So cotton is one of the most sprayed things Monsanto does. And then you have cotton tampons. So we're basically taking glyphosate and sticking it up where it doesn't belong. We're right internally in our body. So really be leery of that. It makes you wonder also about like cotton gauze strips and things like that in the hospital.
Yeah, honestly, I haven't thought about the cotton. I've changed, you know, so much in my life and my home, my diet, everything. And honestly, tampons, I haven't.
That's what I mean. It's something that is like not in our natural human behavior to question. It's just not. And so I would have never thought of some of this stuff had it not been for things like blogging and social media, where I have a lot of contacts that write about these things. And I was like, oh my gosh, when you see it, truth, you know? And some people would say, you know, perhaps this is a little overboard. Perhaps it is, but, you know, after I've done the scientific research, I really have to believe that I don't think it is. I think all this adds up. And if you're doing one thing in one area, or we didn't live in such a toxic world, it wouldn't be such a big deal. But everywhere you turn, there's Teflon, there's aluminum foil, there's aluminum, geoengineering, there's GMOs, there's pesticides. So you really do have to make the small changes in your life to avoid this cumulative effect of everything that is around us due to toxins on everything, and these corporations that are really part of the problem. So we've kind of touched on like being your own best doctor and paying attention to symptoms. It's telling your body. I mean, symptoms are, like I had made a post earlier, it's just like your symptoms are your language. It's telling you something's wrong inside your body, and not just go into a medicine, like find out the source, like what is going on. And don't just silence your body. It's screaming help, right? I mean, that's what we do. Just shut up, take this pill, put a Band-Aid on it.
Symptoms suppression is what a lot of that is, I think. Something else I know you're big on, and so am I, is exercise, and how, what's your take on exercise and the importance of that in your daily life, and keeping you healthy from the inside out? Just, I guess with your mind too. I know you're big into yoga, so what's your exercise?
I think that it's kind of like, I'm going to liken it to people who are addicted to sugar or processed foods. You're feeding a certain bacteria in the gut that is eliciting cravings and moods and everything. It actually makes you feel lazier and more lethargic when you eat these foods, because then you're feeding certain things like parasites and bacteria that can release aldehyde that almost make you feel drunk. This is where a lot of brain fog from cheese and things like that come from. So, you have people who I put on a healthy diet and they should feel great, and they say, I hate it. I don't like the food. It's awful. You give them a month. If they stick to it, their palate has changed. And they come back and they say, I don't have those cravings. I don't like that food I liked before. It's amazing, because their bacterial biodome has changed. And same thing with exercise. They'll get into it. They'll hate it. I hate it. I hate every second of it. Just wait. Give it 21 days to make a habit, and then you'll love it. And so, my standpoint is that not only be your own best doctor, but I personally don't think you can have full 100% health unless you worked on not only the physical, but the mental and spiritual aspect of it too. I don't think someone who is built amazing and is the smartest person I've ever met without any mood disorders is healthy if they're a spiritually devoid person who doesn't know how to love or treat others like they want to be treated. So, I hit that aspect of the things. And then you can talk about the body and exercise, and then you talk about mental health. And the reason I love yoga so much is because I feel like I'm treating all three of those when I'm in yoga. So that's my niche, is yoga. But, I still go to the gym too. So honestly, if you want full health, what exercise does, it helps you feel better about yourself. You are reducing inflammation. You're building muscle. You are working on self-image. You're really clearing your brain for the day. You're releasing endorphins when you sweat. And so you're really treating yourself in every way to be healthy. And so most people have trouble with things they make as goals for the long term, because the short-term satisfaction isn't there. It's a long-term satisfaction. Things like meditation, things like exercise, goals that are long-term, we really put off. Oh, I'll do it tomorrow, right? But when you want to have full health, I really don't think anyone can be fully healthy unless they're exercising in whatever way resonates with you. There's not one study that ever shows negative effects on exercise that I can think of. And no one ever said, I wish I didn't work out today. No one. So I think, whatever resonates with you, as long as you're getting your heart rate up and breaking a sweat for, 30 minutes a day, that you can make time for that. You really can. So 30 minutes a day, wherever that is, it can really, really revitalize and change your life. Yeah.
Love it. Totally agree. I did have one specific question someone had asked, and they wanted to know about best kind of supplements for thyroid and imbalanced hormones, which I know I personally take your hormone master and no longer take my chemo. So,
obviously.
But a lot of the things in your products are ashwagandha, maca root, in which a lot of us here drink Shakeology too, which the vegan form of Shakeology is my favorite, but it's got a lot of that stuff in there too. But I know you probably need it in bigger doses to help heal all kinds of adrenal fatigue or whatever. But so that was for thyroid and imbalanced hormones. Any certain things?
So obviously I can't give a totally unbiased answer because I make products for both those, one called Thyroid Master and one called Hormone Master. And so I'll talk about those first, and then I'll talk about the specific ingredients and why they're used. And you guys can actually go out and get these ingredients on your own. You know, I don't want this to be like a meetup ad where I sell my products at the end, but you know, I made them because I want to help people and I do believe in them, so I have to include them. So Thyroid Master, the reason I made that one, and that's one of the more recent supplements, is because so many people have a problem with thyroid because they're missing nutrients. And Western medicine says, oh, you have hypothyroidism, here's this pill. What if they just had a vitamin D deficiency? What if they had a selenium or iodine deficiency? You know, all these are needed to make T3 and T4, which is the free thyroid hormones, and TSH, which stimulates them to be produced. You have steps all along the way where they need certain nutrition and cofactors that if you're missing any of those, that's going to be the rate limiting step that causes the disease for you. And so with so many people eating the standard American diet of empty calories, producing inflammation, and then we're stressed. So, you know, you pull energy from your adrenal gland, and then finally it moves to long-term storage of energy, which is the thyroid. So things you need for the thyroid: zinc, selenium, iodine, which I like Lugal's iodine. It tastes awful. Like literally if you put drops straight in your mouth, you will never get the taste out of your mouth the rest of the day, and I'm like gagging. So put them in tea or something, like 6 drops or so. Vitamin D, and then some adaptogen herbs that help with giving you energy if you need it or giving you sleep if you need it, like ashwagandha. It's a really great one. And L-tyrosine is an amino acid that is absolutely 100% necessary for proper thyroid hormone production. So those are some of the ingredients that are in Thyroid Master, and it's in a veggie capsule. There's no fillers or anything else added. And you guys can check it out on drjess.com under the store if you want to get it. And then Hormone Master, which is our #1 selling supplement, and for good reason, because I'll just go ahead and tell you guys, a couple years ago, I had the Mirena IUD, and no one tells you that when you get that thing, your sex drive plummets and your skin looks worse and you age rapidly because of it. And then when you have it jerked out, your body has been used to only having synthetic progesterone, so it doesn't make its own anymore. So when you bottom out and have an estrogen dominance, whenever you have your IUD pulled out, if it's got hormones, and it was awful for me, like literally night sweats, couldn't stay asleep at night. I mean, it was like I was put into menopause. And so I really had to, I created this supplement for me, and it worked so well for me that I was like, this is what I'm going to release. And so what it has is herbs that help block the bad estrogen. So there are estrogen mimickers out in the environment, things like triclosan that I mentioned in dial soap, things like parabens and makeup and lotions. And so if you're constantly exposed to these, I mean, Teflon, it's everywhere. And so what men and women are exposed to now is causing an estrogen dominance. The bad estrogen mimics their natural estrogen and bonds to the receptor sites, producing a whole cascade of throwing the hormones off. And so when that happens, we feel sleepy, fatigued, not having joy in life anymore, super extreme mood swings, heavy painful bleeding for women in the monthly cycle, cramps, endometriosis, migraines, ovarian cysts, and fibroids. All that stuff is an estrogen dominance and a risk factor for breast cancer. And so Hormone Master blocks that bad estrogen, and the ingredients in it, only 5, are ashwagandha, which I love, obviously, maca, Cyperus rotundus, astragalus, and white curcumin, which is from turmeric. And there are studies that I could show you where that blocks the bad estrogen. We've had such an outpouring from women for this supplement. It stopped my cystic acne in 48 hours. I have polycystic ovarian disease, and my cycles are regulated now. I stopped my bleeding completely that's been going on for a month. So, you know, separately, obviously, and another hormones supplement that I really like is Vitex, Vitex, or chasteberry tree. and Asian ginseng. So both those are really great for to add with Hormone Master or not, and they will help regulate an estrogen dominance, which is what most women have today. If you have any of those symptoms, you have an estrogen dominance, ladies.
If you have what?
Any of those symptoms I listed, that's more than likely an estrogen dominance.
Yeah, I definitely had that as well. I mean,
yeah,
I feel great. I'm not just talking about your product, honestly. I feel great. My nails, I cut my nails like twice a week. My hair's growing crazy fast.
It looks beautiful.
And I'm able to wake up in the morning and work out, and I haven't been able to do that, and I've been trying for years. So I don't know if I feel good, but I mean, it's from obviously changing from the inside out, and the food and working out and eliminating toxins. I feel like it's just, it's a process. It is a process, but when you think about it, you're doing it for the benefit of life. You know, you're doing it for you.
Whole perspective and lifestyle change. It really is. And people will be shocked at how when they step into their true selves, they're like, man, I was tired and I wasn't thinking clearly. I had no idea how off kilter I was until I came back to myself. You know, that's how you kind of feel. And, you know, honestly, in the end, if you need to go on bioidentical hormones, those are made from sweet yams. They are not made from pregnant horse urine like synthetic hormones are. And women can get a huge benefit from that too, you know. And really, you know, people say, well, doesn't that cause cancer? No, synthetic ones do. They're made from pregnant horse urine. If hormones were not anti-aging, you'd see a bunch of zit-faced teens running around with, you know, with cancer. So, you know, really, there's been a lot of mistruths and lies told by the system. And what I want everyone to know is that you can be your own best doctor. You can empower yourself. I mean, look at Jen. She's the model example. She can sit and rattle this stuff off too because she's done a lot of her own research. So that's what I hope for everyone, really.
Well, I appreciate it. And a lot of I've learned, honestly, from you. So I appreciate it. I appreciate all the information and getting on tonight and just hearing your wealth of knowledge. I really appreciate it. But thank you again for jumping on. And I'm going to save this recording for a lot of people that were putting kids to bed and doing all that kind of stuff. So
I hope everyone enjoyed it and everybody got something out of it at least. So, and
just at the end here, let people know where they can find you. Do they email you? Go to your website. Just plug that in for me, please.
So, of course, it's drjess.com. So drjess.com. And there you'll find the store. You'll find the consult page if anyone would want a Skype consult or to meet with me. We also have just an email that you can reach me at there. I have a YouTube channel as well that's linked there, and an Instagram, and I'm super responsive to most people who have questions for me. It's just me though, so give me like 48 hours. So.
I know you just moved from Portland back to Louisville, so you're still getting your office together, and I know you're super busy, so even more so I appreciate you jumping on.
Of course, Jen. We'll have to get together soon. Just let me know.
Yes. Have a great night, and I can't wait to see you soon when I get back from my cruise.
Yeah, have fun, girl. I'll talk to you soon. Bye, everyone.
All right. Bye. Thank you.
Bye.